Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with a review of the Transformers Studio Series Leader Class Decepticon Blackout with Scorponok. Yes, he is here. The first Decepticon we see in the Michael Bay live action movies is here. He's large and he's in charge. Corny, yes, but I mean, look my hand, him. This is massive. I cannot wait to get to the size comparison to really show you how big he is, but he is huge for modern day. But still very, very, very large, which is how he should have been in the first movie toy line rather than the tiny Voyager figure that we got of him. But before we get into any of that, let us look at the box, because there are special things with the box, mainly the inside of the box, which I already took out. You can see Takara Generations, Transformers down the side, Blackout, number 8, Studio Series, Decepticon Blackout, Decepticon symbol, first Transformers movie. There he is on the side of the box, as well as, Leader Class, sorry, wrong side of the box. There's that same artwork, Scorponok on the side of the box. The back, Blackout, Desert Base Assault, Blackout shocks human defenses with unstoppable force, cross cells, bottom of the box. Top of the box, and I just knocked Blackout. Anyway, here he is with the background he comes in. And I gotta lift the camera very far up. You can see that, and there you can see his attack on the base from the beginning of the film. Transformers Studio Series number 8. If I can get that on the camera, because there's not a lot of room because he's huge. Transformers Studio Series 8. So yeah, that is the box. So now let us look at Blackout. And yeah, he is very accurate to his movie design. I forget what exactly his helicopter form is. I would want to say Apache, but that does not feel right. This is beefier than an Apache. So, but it is, well, regardless, accurate to his on-screen version. I want to say maybe it's a Savoy helicopter. Anyway, very muted colors, just like he was in the film, with some highlights here and there. Taking a closer look, we have the front of the helicopter with the giant thingy and then the white thingy on the front of the helicopter, which again, accurate. He got a nice Decepticon symbol with his notable number of 4500X. He's got a lot of transparent windows up front where you can actually see a little bit of his head sticking out in there. But hey, the clear windows are really nice, though these over here are painted white to simulate clear. And then he's got like this gray bluish color that runs out through the majority of the body. You have his vents. I think these are supposed to be up here with nice black stuff on them, and it feels really nice. It feels like the Soundwave and the Rodimus Prime toys. That just so nice feeling. You got a little bit of black there for those bits. You're going down the side. You got the logo. You got the, I think there's some sort of military logo there. You got that same logo there. USAF 4500X. Danger, keep away. Blackout. Inside that white and red stripe, which is all the way back here, and I did not have in shot. Sorry. You also have his back propeller, as well as his massive top propeller, which spins, but is certainly not that free. Does not freely spin as much as it should, which is good, because when you're transforming it and you're trying to stand it, that would be really annoying if this was completely free. I do kind of wish there was like a locking mechanism maybe to keep this stationary when you're transforming, but hey, it still works. It's pretty solid. Yeah, and again, just a lot of panel work, riveted details and all of that on those sides. You do have 3 landing gears at the bottom, 1, 2, 3. They're all stationary, do not roll, but they do allow Blackout to sit, pretty much. And then you come underneath, and this is clean. There's a lot of cable sticking out here, and there's a huge gap back here, which actually exists because of Scorponok. Because Scorponok is the only accessory that Blackout really comes with besides the rotor tail, which is a separate piece. You got Scorponok here. He's tiny. He's got gray. He's got silver paint. He's got yellow paint. He's got gold paint, and he's got some red paint on those eyes. And he has his little stinger, and it's articulated at that hinge, so that bends that far. This hinge bends that far down, that far up. This hinge bends that far back and that far up. And then you also have his little claws that can move outward that far and inward that far. Dogs, be quiet. Anyway, Blackout is able to, it's not Blackout. Scorponok is able to store in Blackout's alternate mode. Underneath here, using these grooves and having him positioned like such, you can just line him up, get him clipped in. You see those pieces grab those shoulder bits, and then the other bit you saw. Oh, that's off camera. The rotors are too large. Sorry. You can see there are those blue-gray pieces sticking out, basically grabbing Scorponok's shoulders. And then there's another bit that is grabbing Scorponok's tail, and he stores them in there pretty fine. Sometimes if you don't get it quite right, he'll shake out. But if you get him in, he'll stick in pretty darn securely. And that's the bit I was talking about if you didn't see it before because my camera work. I will note something about Scorponok is that from my own experience with the separate Blackout, which I have returned to the store by this point, but there is a video on my channel describing my instances with my first Blackout. This Scorponok, the Scorponok that I first had this arm, like do you see how these bits, I don't even know what to call them, but I think they're basically like, they're pinch bits. I don't even know what the proper term is for them, but they're pinchy thingies that go around a thing to hold it in place. The ones on my first Scorponok were really like not struck, that like the bend wasn't great, so like this arm just fell out all the time, and I've heard other people talk about that, so that's unfortunate. So keep an eye out for that, because then that means this drill hand can be lost very easily. But this Scorponok is pretty fine. He's very small. He's not very much articulated, but you know he does the job, and he's helps with the scale of the Studio Series line. And Blackout has nothing else really to say in his alternate mode, but hey, it's big, it's massive, and it's Blackout. What more do you really need with him in his alternate mode? But now we're done talking about the alt mode. Let's get into some size comparisons. So here they are with Legends class Bumblebee. You can see Scorponok is how he compares to Bumblebee, and how. No, I'm not. We're just not getting that on camera. There's just no way. There's no way it's getting on camera all at once, but best as I can. That's that, and I can't even move that down, so yeah, large, very large. We have Chrome Dome, Scorponok, Blackout. This is ridiculous. I don't have the space for this guy. Megatron, Voyager Megatron. Scorponok. Blackout. And Leader Class 6 Shot. And Scorponok. And Blackout. He's just large and in charge, and he's too massive for this show. And one more comparison. Here he is with my Voyager class Blackout from the 2007 toy line. This is specifically the 2008 Premiere Edition. the premiere edition released in 2008. So the paintwork is a bit different, but you can get an idea just how much larger Leader Blackout is. So yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know where the Scorponok for him went, so I can't compare him with this Scorponok, which is really unfortunate. But hey, that's how it has to be. But that is all there's to say on Leader Class Blackout. So now let's roll right along and get him into his robot mode. So Scorponok stays to the side. First thing to do, take the propeller out, the back rotor out, fold this bit down from this position down to there, and you can leave that on the side. So what first it's going to help is to get the rotors folded over. There is only one specific place for you to fold the rotors from, and it's going to be right here. So you're just going to take them and fold them back like so. They're still going to get in the way a lot, so just be warned of that. Next, you're going to come and pull these vents forward. There is a tab right there that goes onto that slot right there. So that's how that connects, and you'll want just to move those out of the way while we start pulling apart the vehicle. So you're going to want to come here and untab the side from here. There's a tab there and a tab there for a slot there and slots there. Pull that out to the side, and you're going to untab this bit from that groove there, that from that. So as we get some clearance to fold the hand out, like so, fold this section down, and then fold this panel down and have it come over and cover that bit. And as you saw, you just rotate the arm in the correct orientation, and we can leave the arm like that for the time being. Now we'll repeat that on the other side, and that's going to be pull that out, untap from there, fold the panels down, flip the hand out, fold that out of the way, and fold those panels down, rotate, and just get it into a position ready for when we can connect it to the torso. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to untab these panels in the back here. There's just a bunch of tabs here that fit into a bunch of holes there to make sure that's really locked into place. And then do the same on the other side, untab those. And then what's going to happen is we can untab and fold that down. Now we're getting tall, so I'm going to lift the camera up. Thing we're going to have to do before we completely move this around is we are going to get the head out. So we've got these vents in a forward position. Then you're going to take these panels that are, I'm going to say, when you're going into alt mode, are going to be very loose and very annoying to get connected. This is too tall. This is way too tall for me. Anyway, these panels are going to be a pain in the butt when you're trying to connect them, but getting these panels back here connected on top of them will certainly help keep them locked into place. So keep that in mind. You're just going to fold them out like that and over the vents and their forward position. And when they are locked into place, do the same on the other side like so. And then we're going to come down here. This whole assembly is going to move at once. Well, actually, you can just push Blackout's head up using your thumb or one of your fingers just to push that panel down. Or you can fold this entire assembly down and about and around into that position, pushing Blackout's head up at the same time, and you'll just flip that panel back like so. And then you have this tab that goes into that hole down there to connect the crotch into place like so. And then you have this panel just hangs out on the front and is more crotch detail. Then you can orient the legs into their proper position like so. Then you rotate them forward. Another thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pull this panel out, straight out, flip this down like so, rotate that 180, and then you'll just slide that right back in to get the foot looking like that. And that also involves, this helps by just straightening out the foot like that, and these panels will move, and I'll orient them in a bit. So we're gonna bend the ankle, pull that out, fold this bit down, rotate, and collapse. And there you have the feet, and you'll fold the landing gear up so they'll sit right there, like so, on those bits. And then these panels, like I said, you can just fiddle around with a little bit to get it looking more movie accurate. But another way to help do that is to bend the legs so that they're at that angle as he is in the movies. I have considered leaving him straight leg to give him a little more height, but when you do that, his legs are really skinny, so that looks really weird. But we are getting places. We are almost done. Now we can come forward with these panels, and there are 2 slots right there for these 2 tabs on the sides, and they will lock in very securely, as you can hear. Same on the other side. Thing I will note is that I've seen on a few copies, including my first copy, that the left arm would not tab into the body correctly, but my copy does, and so just be aware of that. There is supposed to be this hinge right here to give him a little bit more forward orientation, but where it actually tabs in can not work on some copies. So just be warned of that. So now we got the backpack to sort. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take these panels, just untab them and untab them, and we'll just leave them like that for the time being while we get the giant engine over the window bit in the back, and you fold that down and you lift those panels up. Like I said, fold them down, straighten that out, and then, oops, and these bits fold on top of the already there kibble bits. So, last thing to do is to untab that bit. You can hear that tabs and connects very securely. Sometimes this bit will fall off the friction hinge. Just don't worry, it is a friction hinge. You can put it back on. And then this bit right here will go into that groove right there, pretty much locking that into place. That's that panel from down here, tabs securely, just folds in under there. And then the last thing to really do is get the rotor, stick it on his forearm, and there you have Blackout in his robot mode. And he does shrink the bit because a lot of the panels were folding out a fair bit to make his alt mode incredibly massive, but boy is he still a big boy. He is still quite the biggin, I will say. You can also fold that bit down as well, and the skirt's kind of sticking out further than it should be. But yeah, that is Blackout, and like I said, quite screen accurate. Obviously some things are not, but hey, for what it is certainly as screen accurate as it's going to get, except for one instance, but I'll get to that momentarily. But taking a closer look at Blackout, you can see his head is very, very accurate to the movie design. You do have the base color on parts of the head, but there's also a lot of silver paint, dark grays, and some little beady red eyes in there. You've got his chest, which is predominantly cockpit halves of the helicopter bit. You got all of the kibble there, some nice dark metallic bits there. This giant engine, very accurate to the movie. It molded it in a bit of light gray as well as painted it a little bit to match that color. You've got his arms, which are just huge gray chunks, as well as his hands, which are huge gray chunks that do not move very much, and I'll get into that when we get to articulation. You've got the helicopter blade. It's got a little more paint detail on it. It's technically supposed to be the huge back rotor, I think, but hey, they weren't going to have two giant back rotors pop out of this toy, and this at least gives him the rotor hand weapon that he's got in the movie. He definitely has that in the movie. We got his skirt panels going on down here with grays and blues. You've got those crazy chicken legs going on, lighter gray up top, the bluish gray down at the bottom, and these gray panels and that dark colored panel as well. And you got his feet, which are in the same bluish gray color as the rest of the helicopter, and you just got giant flats for feet at the bottom there, which is a little weird, but hey, it doesn't make him too unbalanced. It makes him a little bit unbalanced because they kind of curve, but you can still get some nice posing out of him. Speaking of which, oh wait, and I almost forgot to show off the back, which is pretty much the rotor and some paneling. But it's quite clean, I will say. As for articulation, his head can rotate. It cannot do a full 360 because there's the kibble and he's got a lot of stuff on his head, but it can look up and look down just a little bit, as well as a little bit of side to side, a little bit. Arms, there is this hinge right here that gives him a little bit forwardish movement at the shoulder. The arms are able to bend that far forward, and if you get the rotors out of the way, that far back pretty much without getting kibbled away. It cannot do a full 360 because of just how the shoulders are formed. That does fall off a bit just because there's a bit of tension to get into the forward position. Technically, I will say, technically you are supposed to store the rotor blade like so, but it's not in a prominent position for attacking, so I do prefer to leave it in this position, but because of this tip and how it's shaped, it does kind of stress. It's just kind of not necessarily stressing, but like you gotta kind of leave it on an angle, and there's a little more tension in there. There should be if you store it the other way, so that can pop off on you. But back to articulation, arms are able to bend out to the side using the first elbow hinge, I guess. I don't know what to call that. There is not an actual like elbow joint there because the elbow joint is right here for a 90-degree bend. And then you have his hands, which are weird because they just fold up and fold down, and then the thumb, only the thumb is able to articulate open. There's no wrist articulation, no side to side, and the hands are in a perpetually awkward position. So that's unfortunate, unfortunately. This gun can fold forward and out. The crotch skirts are able to move out of the way, so as you can get that far. If I can get the arms out of the way enough so as you can see, you can get the legs to bend that far forward if you don't have the crotch untab, and that far back if you get the helicopter cable out of the way. Legs can be that far straight. This joint can bend that far back, and this joint can bend that far forward. There is ankle tilt that far and that far, and it can bend very far forward and a little bit, no, that far forward, I mean, and very far back, but that's more for transformation. But you do have quite a bit of articulation on the legs. The arms are a bit hindered, but it is fairly accurate to his design in the movie, so you kind of can't help that, especially with how those shoulders work. The shoulders is a big thing. The hands, they definitely could do something with, and that's the real unfortunate bit. So that's a little sucky. But besides that, like I said, he comes with the rotor, and that sticks on the forearms. It can also stick on this arm, as well as this is buddy Scorponok, which he can store on his back. You just get him into the condensed mode, I guess. And there's this 5mm tab that will go right into that screw hole. Just plug that on there. You just gotta get it lined up correctly. Lined up correctly. There we go. And then you can pretend Blackout's got Scorponok stored on his back and is ready to eject him out to chase down U.S. military soldiers in through the middle of the desert. Just like in the first movie, which is really neat. It does, I mean, like, it doesn't hide. It's just Scorponok tabbed to his back, but hey, it's still neat. Still very neat. But that is all there is to say on Blackout and Scorponok in robot mode. So let's get into some robot mode size comparisons. Okay, I forgot to do a couple size comparisons, so I'm doing them now. Here is Blackout with Voyager Starscream from Studio Series, and next to Scorponok as well. That needs to be a little higher. That comparison. That comparison. And here he is with Studio Series Deluxe Bumblebee. That size comparison. And that size comparison. And now back to your regularly scheduled review. Here he is with Legends Class Bumblebee, if he can stand. And Bumblebee, get your leg bit straight there, Blackout. Anyway, Bumblebee just basically up to his knee. Oh dear, Megatron has fallen. Starscream shall take command of the Decepticons. Anyway, Chrome Dome, Deluxe Class Chrome Dome, comes up to his waist. Voyager Class Megatron. He's not that much taller than Voyager Class Megs at the head. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff above his head that gives him some extra height. Then we have Leader Class 6-Shot. Blackout at the head just basically comes up to almost the top of those wingtips. But the engine bulk at the back does make him equal head height with 6-Shot, if not just a hair shorter. But they're pretty much the same in terms of the top of them. Well, 6-Shot's got more people, but anyway. And here he is with Movie 1 Blackout. Not much, not a whole lot taller than the Movie 1 Blackout, honestly. But this feels so much more imposing than this tiny thing here. Also, the toy line has kind of shrunk a little bit in recent years, which is unfortunate. But this is still a lot better. So much better. But, I mean, this one's got light piping, so really, who's the real winner here? This guy's the winner. We have Voyager Class Starscream. They're about the same at the head. Studio Series Voyager Thundercracker. Blackout's just a tad taller. And Studio Series Deluxe Bumblebee. And Bumblebee is shorter than Blackout's waist. Yeah. And of course, how can I forget? Here he is with the channel's mascots, Soundwave and Wheeljack. So you can see how he looks next to them. But yeah, overall, I really am digging this Blackout. I mean, it's just so right. It's so large. It's so massive. It's more so what we should have gotten in the first toy line than what we did. Probably would not have been at this level of engineering considering the Movie 1 toy line. But hey, it's still... We eventually got it. We eventually got the Blackout we deserve. There are Blackouts with issues, with quality control issues, unfortunately. I had a bad case of it, so check out the other video, which will be linked at the end cards at the end of the video, to see what all was up with that Blackout. The bad Blackout I had. The hands, they suck. They just flat out suck. There's no articulate. It's not even so much me wanting articulation in the hands, which there is in the thumbs. It's just the orientation. There's no wrist rotation to at least have the hands in like a good default hand pose, which this kind of a figure should not have a problem with. This large of a figure at the very least should have proper hands like that. Legs are a little weird to pose just because they're the chicken leg movie design, but that's a fault of the original design as opposed to the toy having to with the toy having to suffer with that, as opposed to, you know, that being completely on the toy. But the vehicle mode's massive. Robot mode is pretty massive. Could be taller, but in terms of parts counts and all the budgeting, this is the largest we would get out of a leader class figure. And again, like I said, there are faults. But if you're a movie fan, especially if you enjoyed the first movie, especially at the beginning of the film, I think you should get yourself a Blackout. You really should. If you're not a fan of the movies at all in any way, shape, or form, then I can obviously not recommend this to you. But whether you are a diehard fan of the movies or you only enjoyed the first one, this is definitely a figure you should get, because this guy, to an extent, does represent the first movie, as he is the first one you see. Oh, and before we leave, we of course have to take a look at Blackout on the stand, destroying the bass and guitar. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. But yeah, overall, again, like I said, get him if you're a movie fan, definitely. If not, if this somehow appeals to you, I would encourage you to pick it up. But again, be wary of quality control issues. But that is all I have to say on Studio Series Decepticon Blackout. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All of the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack signing off.